How you doing, guys? This week we are tackling Weezer's Say It Ain't So, and I'm going to start you off with the tuning because we're tuned down a half step, and then we're going to get into the major parts of the song. So let's get to it. Okay, guys, so for this song you have to tune the entire guitar down a half step. What that means is each string is flatted a half step. So this string, your sixth string, becomes an E flat. This string, your A string, becomes an A flat. That string's your D, the fifth string, that becomes a D flat. That is normally your G string, that becomes a G flat. That's the third string. Your second string is normally a B, and that's a B flat. And your high E is an E flat. So if you don't have a tuner and you can't just pluck the strings and tune them to an E flat, what we recommend you do is place your finger on the sixth string, and then you can tune down the fretted string to the open note, and that'll get you down a half step. But we really recommend you use a tuner, so when you play an E chord, it's really going to be an E flat. So that's an E flat, and now we can get to it. Okay, so this song starts out with your first finger bridged on the fourth fret, on the fifth string, through the second string, and starts off with a down strum of those four strings, followed by a quick hammer-on with your middle finger and your ring finger. And those are going to be hammered down on the fifth fret, on the second string, and then on the sixth fret on the fourth string. So after you play the down strum on the fourth fret bridge with your first finger, you're going to hammer on, as I said, middle finger on the fifth fret on the second string, and ring finger on the sixth fret on the fourth string, and hammer it down. And right after you hammer it down, you're going to pluck back up with your strumming hand, and you're going to pop your pinky down on the third string on the sixth fret. So what that is that's hammering from a bridge into a minor seventh chord, and when you pop your pinky in there, it's a minor chord. So the first part of the song is, and you can follow the tab, as this is probably one of the more difficult songs we've done together. So it's a downstroke followed by a hammer-on, followed by an upstroke, and you're going to pop your pinky down on the third string on the sixth fret. And then immediately you're going to jump your fingers over in the same position, and that's going to be a major chord. And it's technically a G chord, but it looks like it's a G sharp, but we've tuned down a half step, so don't forget that. So that's why I'm just going to use the fret names and not the chord names so I don't confuse you. And the next chord is jumped over. It's just played like a major chord off the sixth fret. Except what you're going to do is you're going to lift your fingers, and that string is going to be open. That's your second string is open. So rather than a full bridged chord, it's going to be open. It's going to have that dissonant sound. And then you're going to pluck every string. Right after you pluck every string, which is an arpeggio of that chord, you're going to do another down strum. And as you do another down strum, you're going to slide your fingers up, and then do another upstroke, on the high ends of those strings. So how you do that is you just keep your fingers in the same position, but you're only going to pluck the 5th and the 4th strings while your hand is in that chord. So the tab is going to show that you're just plucking the 5th and 6th strings on the 6th fret. So it's going to look like that on the tab, but we're going to hold that chord and then play different notes in the chord, and that's what the tab reflects. Like that. So I'll play it up to that point as I usually do so you can get the hang of it so far. So you can see I'm doing a down strum, sliding, and then plucking up. That's why it sounds like there's a lot more going on. And then I do 2 clicks, as you can see on the tab. And then I slide down and I play an open E chord. But I'm only going to pluck the bottom 4 strings. Play the open, and I'm going to slide my hand up to the 9th fret on the 5th string, follow the tab to do that little flare, and then you slide back down into the next part of the song, which just basically repeats. Except now we don't do the little flare on the 9th fret. It just rings out, and then it repeats again. And that's the second time through. Now, the second time it goes through the song, he starts in with some ska chords. Those are upstrokes, and we're going to get into those in a minute. We're just going to go over those separately, but they are playing over the second part of the intro, which is also the verses. So one more time, follow the tab. You play the bridge, you hammer on, then you upstroke and you pop that pinky down, and you jump over to the major chord. Arpeggiate it out. So that's the first part. Follow the tab. I'll play it in full speed at the end, but now we're going to get into the ska chords. Okay guys, so the ska chords are the little So that's going on over the those little ska chords are going on underneath, and then as the intro drops out and the verse takes over, those chords keep going through. So that's going to be your verse riff as well. So it's just going to be the bottom 3 strings the whole time, the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd strings, but they're just the bottom 3 strings for full bridged chords, but we're not going to go through the full bridged chords, so we're just going to play the bottom 3 strings, but it's no different than holding the full chord. I'm just going to show you the bottom 3, and so for the first chord, you're going to have your first finger on the 4th fret, your second finger on the 5th fret on the 2nd string, and your third finger on the 6th fret on the 3rd string, and you're only going to play upstrokes, and you're only going to play those upstrokes on the and or on the up or off beat. So if you're tapping your foot, you're only going to play those notes when your foot's in the air. And if you're if you are used to counting, you're going to only play those notes when you say end. So 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, like that. So now that you get the pattern, I'll just go through each chord. The first chord, as I said, is first finger on the 4th fret on the 1st string, second finger on the 5th fret on the 2nd string, third finger on the 6th fret on the 3rd string. You only play one stroke of that chord, and then you jump over, and you're going to bridge your first finger on the 4th fret on the 1st and 2nd strings, and then you're going to use your second finger on the 5th fret on the 3rd string. And that chord is played 3 times. So the first chord once, second chord 3 times, and the third chord you just slide up a half step. So now you're bridging the 5th fret on the 1st and 2nd strings, and you're pressing down on the 6th fret with your middle finger or your second finger on the 3rd string. And you only play that chord once as well. And then you immediately jump from that chord, bridged on the 5th on the 1st and 2nd strings, second finger on the 6th fret on the 3rd, you jump and you only play that once, and then you're going to play this pattern, which is very similar to the D chord down here, but you're going to play it here on the 4th fret with your middle finger, and then 5th fret on the 2nd string with your ring finger, and then on the 3rd string back to the 4th fret with your forefinger. Just like a D chord, technically it's an E flat because we're tuned down a half step. If we were not tuned down a half step, this would be an E. But we're tuned down a half step, so this is an E flat now. And you play that one 3 times, upstrokes as well. And the progression is if you want to do a little flair, you can, every time you go down, and it helps you stay in time, you can click down, but you got to make sure that your hands are not pressing anything if you're going to do that. So those are the ska chords that go over the intro riff. The ska chords go the second 2 times, and then they take over for the verse. And now I'll show you how to play the chorus. Make sure you guys keep following the tab, and here we go. So the chorus is very similar to the opening riff, except it's all power chords, but the positioning is pretty much the same. As you can see, it's pretty much all downstrokes, and it does follow the intro pattern. Except rather than those full chords, we're just going to play those power chords. And they're 5th roots the whole time. And the first power chord is going to have your first finger on the 4th fret, and I'm going to use my ring finger and my pinky on the 6th frets on the 4th and 3rd string. Again, my roots on the 5th string. And if you want to bridge the chord, you can use your ring finger, or you can use your pinky to bridge it. Again, I'm just going to use those 3 fingers the whole time. So the first 2 are down strums on that chord, root on the 4th, and pinky and ring on the 6th. The next chord, you're going to jump to the 6th string and keep your ring and pinky on the 6th frets. Just jump from the 3rd and 4th strings to the 4th and 5th. That's the next chord. The 3rd chord, you slide right up to the 5th fret on the 6th string, and the 7th on the 5th and 4th with your middle and ring. So the first 3 chords are all 2 down strums. 4th chord Now that's gonna sort of, it's gonna kind of jump the gun, if you will, from the previous 3 chords. And you're gonna let that ring out, and then 3 more strums. And then it goes right back into the song. Okay, so hopefully after that little playing, you kind of get how the song fits together. I just want to show you one more thing, and the second time through the chorus, he does a little riff. I want to teach you that too because it's kind of fun. So let's get to that riff, and then I'll one more time put the whole song together, and we'll put the tab on the screen. Okay, here's the little riff for you guys. Okay, so the second time they play the chorus, there's a little bend note that they do. That little bend is in between the first strum chord and only the first and second chords, and then it goes on. But I just want to show you how to play it. The best way to play it is to get your first finger on the second string on the 5th fret and take your ring finger on the 7th fret on the 3rd string, and you gotta bend. I like to keep my middle finger on the 6th fret. You don't hear it, but it helps me bend, and it helps me make sure that I'm bending properly, because I have to bend up to the 5th fret on the 2nd string with my ring finger on the 7th fret on the 3rd string. And I'm basically bending the 7th fret on the 3rd string with my ring finger to the 9th fret on the 3rd string, which is the same as the 5th fret on the 2nd string. So you can see when I bend it, I'm bending twice, but that's really what it should sound like. And the whole time I've got my pointer finger on the 5th fret, so I'm bending up to that note. It's pretty easy to hear it, but it's quick. And you want to keep your first finger on the 5th fret, and you don't want to bend it, because then it's gonna sound, it's not gonna sound like you're bending up to that note. So the tricky part is to keep your first finger as straight as possible. Don't bend it, don't move it. And that's why I like to put my middle finger on the 6th fret and my pinky or my ring finger on the 7th fret, so that when I bend, I'm only using that string. And really, the second guitar player does it. It's too hard to switch around. You need 2 guitars to do it, but it's a fun riff, and you can play around with it with your friends and then have 2 guitars doing it. But I wanted to show you how to do that little riff because it's fun. And now I'm going to go back and put the whole song together for you guys. And I'm going to leave out that little riff because, like I said, I can't play it at the same time that I'm playing the chords. This song is set at 76 beats per minute. So let's get started. Set your metronome to 76. And let's count in a 4, and then we'll get started. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay guys, thanks for watching. Make sure you visit rawtalentguitar.com to order, just to check out our website and meet us. Or if you have requests, you can email them to us at social@rawtalentguitar.com. And we look forward to doing this every week on Tuesdays. Thanks a lot.